What's up, everybody? Sorry, today's episode is dropping a little late. It's been a very, very wild 2 weeks. Oh my god. Talk about great camera, because my head is the only thing you see, and then it's just empty space above. I mean, this is low quality, but let's at least have some decorum. Awesome. Okay. At least my head's kind of in the middle. And I'll move myself up on the chair here. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's well. Like I said, crazy couple of weeks, so it's been a minute since I posted. Like last week, I guess. But all I'm going to say is life can be very difficult when you live with somebody who can just fly off the handle and doesn't exactly have the best emotional control. Okay, so I would say that I am a person who I think has improved in some marginal sense their emotional control, but I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody's going to pretend that I am perfect. I mean, my dating success shows that I'm very imperfect, possibly damaged. I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that I don't drink, because I think alcohol mixed with what some might call some mental instability would be, I know it not to be a very successful chemical reaction between the two of them. I wouldn't say I'm crazy, because I know that I'm mentally unstable. I am very cognizant of the fact that I am strange. I'm very cognizant as well of the fact that I am some might call it volatile. And as I'm getting older, realizing what I thought was very clear and concise communication turns out that I'm very confusing to listen to as well, which is perfect, because I do, like the Squirrelcast, I have no guests. There is no filter for this, and there is no dilution of the insanity that issues forth from my gums. Salute and all that stuff onto paranoia and mass panic. Shit. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, so today I can say I'm grateful because I'm sane enough to know that I'm insane. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow could find me weeping in the bathtub that is full of scalding hot water, skin burnt, a nice lobster red, because that's what my skin hue would make it turn, eating soap and drinking shampoo and hoping that cleans out my insides. But today, I can 83% guarantee that won't happen. What I will say is, in the past, and this is the gratitude part, the past problems would arise, and obviously my immediate reaction, it wasn't fueled by alcohol. Alcohol was a numbing agent. My immediate reaction was utter, unbridled, either panic, it was all based in fear, panic or rage, all based in fear. I'll give you an example of the kind of nightmare I was to be around. I remember once somebody using my car, locking the keys in by mistake, and calling me to admit the mistake and ask for help. I was at work, which is, I couldn't get back there to help solve the problem. They found a solution. It was over within 30 to 35 minutes. Not even, it might have been 15. It was a long time ago. But I remember frothing at the mouth and barking into the phone at the loudest volume I could for about 15 minutes over the situation. Didn't once ask if they were okay. Didn't once ask if they needed more help. All I thought about in that moment, rather than the people, was my window getting scratched and how much of an inconvenience this was. That's the kind of person I can be if I forget to be grateful for the fact that I am a self-aware lunatic. Today, while the risk of that happening is still there, and I do not necessarily, and that's said with heavy qualifiers, I still screw up sometimes on being able to manage small problems, i.e. this week getting an email at work that I knew would lead to more work that I didn't want to do. Very busy, very overwhelmed, very stressed out I am. Understanding that I have to learn to manage the stress under these new responsibilities that I find myself in, that I have to learn to ask for help, that I have to learn to delegate more, even though I'm delegating, I think, the most I've ever delegated in my career. I have to do even more of that and not consider it a personal failure that I'm delegating work. I still remember one of the best people I ever worked for saying, your job as a manager is to clear your desk, because the job of the manager above you, and then eventually the top manager who's getting all the stuff from the outside, is to clear their desk. That's why you're hired. You're hired to help. So if you have a team that's supposed to help you, they've got to be helping you to their utmost ability until they say, there's no one I can pass it to. You can't give me more. I'm full. Management 101. But being a self-realized lunatic, I still struggle with that. So I get this email at work, and instead of doing what I know to be right, which is to accept the email, to understand that this person is just doing their job, that this could wait an hour for me to not react impulsively to it, I reacted impulsively. 9 times out of 10, I don't do that anymore. More like 49 times out of 50. But circumstances being that what they are. Whoa, dad sneeze. Circumstances being what they are, I reacted impulsively. And let me tell you now, knowing that I'm a self-realized lunatic, I worked yesterday until 2:30 in the morning and today until almost 1 in the afternoon after about 4 hours of sleep, trying to figure out something that, I swear to God, it was so simple, and that's what made it so infuriating. It was a simple task, a simple analysis, and for some reason it wasn't working, and I just couldn't get my head around it until I finally did. It was that one part that I thought was perfect and everything else seemed to be off that actually wasn't perfect, and then everything else fell into place. Sometimes doing accounting work, it's just, every accountant will tell you the devil's in the details and never take a number for granted. But you still find yourself sometimes just wanting to throw a monitor through a window and, drop the laptop in the bathtub with you. That was my penance for being reactive, And then, of course, when I figured out what needed to be figured out, knowing that I have to send an apology to the person. I didn't swear. I vented. I was frustrated with them. I said, the task that they were asking was not value added. There were other more pressing things that needed to get done. And I had to turn around and, I can't remember what's that word. To somebody post in the comments if anybody watches this, the word there where you bow before somebody, or not prostate. Probably gonna have to get that checked soon. I'm old. You know the word I'm looking for, to like bow or go on your belly in front of somebody as a sign of subjugation, but I had to do that in this email. I had to do it because it was what the company needed. I had to do it because it was what was right to do. I had to do it because I needed to make sure that the other people I work with that rely on this person can continue to rely on them despite my insanity. Because I don't want... I never want the consequences of my actions to go beyond me. And that's another part of the self-realization, is thinking that when I react like this, that the consequence will only be to me, knowing full well that it won't. There's always collateral damage. It's always difficult. So yeah, how do I live with an egotistical maniac? Well, I get up in the morning. I torture myself. I torture myself trying to stay in shape. And then I just try to remember that my first reaction is usually not the right one. And the other thing I try to do I should do it more regularly, but on a semi-regular basis, try to think of things that I should be grateful for. And try to remember that, one of the big tests in the last couple of years, I never used to have to, everybody worked from home for COVID. Before that, I used to take the bus to work. I left the car at home. And now I drive to work because I have to get my kid to school, and that's closer to my work than it is to my house. So I drive, and where before I would be every day just, again, rabid dog frothing at the mouth in my car over the traffic that no one can control, I find myself kind of being calmer about it. I'm still not calm. By most measures of sane people, they would rate me as insane when sitting in traffic. But it is a drastic improvement over me years ago, where it would have been like unsafe to be in public while sitting in traffic. So let's be honest, 83% chance that I won't be cooking myself in a bathtub tomorrow, trying to wash my own insides with soap through ingestion. I could have a complete nervous breakdown tonight. I know that it is a Saturday. Like I said, I worked this morning, went out, did some errands, and I've got a meeting this evening. It's that kind of level where it's all hands on deck. Evenings and weekends don't really exist right now. That's just the nature of the beast sometimes in business, Sometimes this is what the business requires. And you hope that you're part of, if you put in the sacrifice, that you're part of the windfall afterwards. Everybody tells you, professionally that never happens, but you always think maybe you're going to be the exception to the rule. Another problem of mine, right? So yeah. Another thing, I guess, as a last point that I need to work on is learning to take a day off, take a vacation. I have a horrible difficulty with stopping the routine. I've talked about that before. I mean, maybe one day I'll get it. I'm in my 40s. Who knows? Someone told me yesterday, Tiger doesn't change their stripes, about my fiery personality. It serves me in some instances. It definitely doesn't in others. So, yeah, here's to the guy sitting with the offensive trucker hat in his bathrobe in his house, alone on a Saturday at 4:15, wondering why it's difficult to find a date when he just spent the last 15 minutes talking about how mentally unstable he is and what kind of a nightmare he would be to live with. Giving off the fresh vibes. So, hope you're all doing well. If you can't identify, then at least listen and learn. Thanks.